When was the last time you really stopped and thought about something as simple as taking a bath? Not for yourself, but for someone over 70. Maybe it's your mother, your father, your grandparent, or maybe even you. Have you ever asked, how often should seniors actually bathe? Once a day? Every other day? Once a week? The truth might shock you, because the answer is not what most people expect. Here's the surprising part: some seniors bathe too often, and others not nearly enough. And both can come with risks you might not see until it's too late. Think about it for a moment. Bathing, something we've all done automatically our entire lives, suddenly becomes complicated after a certain age. The body changes. The skin changes. Even confidence changes. What used to be a simple part of daily life now carries risks, hidden dangers, and emotional challenges that families often overlook. And this is more than just hygiene. This is about dignity. This is about protecting skin from painful cracks and infections. This is about preventing slips and falls in the bathroom, one of the most dangerous places for seniors. This is even about emotional well-being, because feeling clean and cared for changes the way you see yourself, and the way others see you. Yet, most families never have this conversation. They don't talk about bathing until a problem shows up. By then, it's usually much harder to fix. That's why today is so important. Because together, we're going to uncover 7 shocking facts about senior bathing routines that most people never think about, facts that could completely change the way you or your loved one stays safe, clean, and confident every single day. And I promise you, you'll want to stay with me until the very end, because the 7th fact, well, that one just might surprise you the most. But first, let's make this a conversation. Drop a quick comment down below and type, "I'm here," if you want to learn more about caring for seniors and keeping everyday life safe and comfortable. It lets me know you're watching, you care, and you're part of this community. And listen, what I'm about to share today might surprise you. Because if bathing habits are ignored, it's not just comfort that's at risk, it's independence. And once independence is lost, it's very hard to get back. That's why I always tell people, after watching, don't forget to check the link in the description for the 29 days to reclaim your confidence challenge. It's helping seniors everywhere avoid these exact issues before it's too late. Let's start with something that might surprise you: daily bathing isn't always necessary for seniors over 70. Picture this: your grandmother has bathed every single day of her life. It's her routine. It's how she feels fresh, how she feels presentable. But after 70, sticking to that same habit can actually do more harm than good. The skin changes. It becomes thinner, more fragile, and loses some of the natural oils that once kept it soft and protected. When you wash every single day with soap and hot water, those natural oils get stripped away. What happens then? The skin becomes dry. Cracks form. And those tiny cracks can become open doors for infections that are harder to fight off as the immune system slows with age. Something as innocent as a daily shower can slowly lead to discomfort, itching, or even painful sores that take weeks to heal. Yet families often think daily is always better. They see a parent skip a shower and immediately assume they're being careless or unhygienic. But that's not always the case. In fact, forcing daily baths on aging skin can make things worse. So what's safer? For most seniors, 2 to 3 times a week is enough to keep the skin clean and healthy. And on the days in between, a simple spot cleaning, washing the face, underarms, and private areas, is more than enough to feel fresh without overdrying the skin. It's a small shift in routine, but one that can protect the skin, preserve comfort, and reduce the risk of unnecessary health problems. But here's the catch: while overbathing can cause issues, skipping too often brings a whole different set of problems. Take Mr. Johnson, for example. He's 74, healthy enough, and still likes to keep a clean routine. Twice a day, morning and evening, he insists on showering, just like he did when he was working full-time. One evening, after stepping out of his second shower of the day, his bathroom floor was damp and slippery. He felt a little lightheaded from the hot water, lost his balance, and in a split second, he was on the ground. A fall that could have been avoided if he wasn't bathing so often. Here's the thing. The bathroom is one of the most dangerous places in the home for seniors. When you add frequent showers, the floors stay wet longer, the tiles become slick, and the chances of slipping skyrocket. Hot water itself can lower blood pressure and cause dizziness, which makes standing up or moving around right after a shower even riskier. But many families think more frequent bathing means their loved one is cleaner, fresher, and safer from germs. The truth is, it's the opposite. Every extra shower is another chance for a fall, and falls after 70 can change everything. A single slip can mean a broken hip, months of recovery, or in some cases, the loss of independence altogether. So what can you do instead? A safer approach is to schedule baths at steady, manageable times, maybe every 2 or 3 days, and prepare the bathroom to minimize risk. That means installing non-slip mats inside and outside the tub, adding grab bars for stability, and making sure towels and dry clothes are within reach. Even small adjustments, like lowering the water temperature to avoid dizziness, can make a huge difference. Overbathing might look like a simple habit, but it's a hidden risk many don't see until it's too late. And sometimes, the danger isn't just about safety at all. Sometimes, the real warning sign has nothing to do with how often a senior bathes. In fact, it can show up in a much more subtle way, through body odor. Imagine this: a daughter goes to visit her 80-year-old father. He still takes his baths regularly, maybe not every day, but often enough. Yet, one afternoon she leans in for a hug and notices something unusual: his smell is different. Not the ordinary kind of sweat or the faint scent of soap he used to carry, but something sharper, almost sour. She's puzzled. He's bathing, so why the change? Here's what most people don't realize: body odor in seniors isn't always about poor hygiene. Sometimes, it's the body's way of sending a message. Unusual odors can be an early sign of infections, especially urinary tract infections. They can also point to liver or kidney problems, where toxins build up in the body and change the way someone smells. In some cases, even diabetes can cause a sweet, fruity odor on the breath or skin that family members might notice before the senior does. But too often, families assume the worst. They think, Dad must not be washing properly. He must be neglecting himself. And sometimes, seniors get blamed unfairly for something that isn't about bathing at all. That misunderstanding can create tension, embarrassment, or even shame for the person going through it. The truth is, instead of focusing only on how often someone bathes, you should pay attention to any new or unusual odors. A sudden change could be a signal that something deeper is going on inside the body, something that needs attention, not judgment. So the next time you notice a change in how a loved one smells, don't just tell them to take another shower. Take it as a sign, ask gentle questions, and, if needed, encourage a checkup. It could save them from weeks of discomfort or catch an illness before it becomes something serious. And speaking of skin and the body's natural defenses, here's something most people never think about: sometimes, less bathing is actually better for the skin. You see, our bodies were designed with their own natural line of defense. The skin produces oils that act like a protective shield. These oils keep the skin soft, they lock in moisture, and they even help guard against bacteria and infections. But when a senior over 70 bathes too often, especially with harsh soaps and hot water, that natural shield gets stripped away. Without those oils, the skin dries out quickly. It starts to itch. Tiny cracks form, which may look small on the surface, but each one is an open doorway for germs. For an elderly person whose immune system is already weaker, even a small infection can turn into something much bigger. Yet here's the big misconception: families often think seniors need a good, strong scrub to stay clean. They imagine rough washcloths, lots of soap, and long showers are the key to staying healthy. But in reality, that heavy scrubbing does the exact opposite. It damages fragile skin, removes protective oils, and leaves the body more vulnerable. The safer approach? Keep it simple and gentle. Use mild, fragrance-free soap. Skip the hot water and go with lukewarm instead. It's easier on the skin and less likely to cause dizziness. And right after the bath, apply a moisturizer while the skin is still damp. That locks in hydration and helps replace the oils that were lost. This one change alone can make an enormous difference. Seniors who follow this kind of routine often find their skin feels more comfortable, less itchy, and far less prone to painful cracks or rashes. It's not about scrubbing harder, it's about protecting what the body is already doing naturally. But bathing isn't just about physical health, it reaches much deeper than that. It affects the mind, the heart, and even a person's sense of dignity. Take Mrs. Harris, for example. She's 79, a woman who used to take pride in her appearance, always neatly dressed and well-groomed. But one day, her daughter noticed she wasn't bathing anymore. At first, it seemed like laziness, or maybe forgetfulness. But the truth was far heavier. Mrs. Harris wasn't avoiding baths because she didn't care. She was struggling with depression. The very thought of showering, of undressing, of going through the motions, felt overwhelming. This is something many families miss. Bathing doesn't just clean the body. It refreshes the spirit. A warm bath can soothe the nerves, ease anxiety, and even lift the mood. Cleanliness helps seniors feel presentable, confident, and respected, especially when they're around others. But when a senior begins avoiding the bath, it can sometimes be a quiet cry for help. It may point to depression, where motivation slips away. Or it could be a sign of dementia, where routines once automatic are suddenly confusing or frightening. And here's the mistake many families make: they nag, they scold, or they push too hard, thinking pressure will solve the problem. But what it really does is create shame and resistance. Seniors may feel embarrassed, or worse, misunderstood. The better way is gentle encouragement. Create a routine that feels safe and familiar. Respect their privacy, offer a warm towel, maybe even play calming music to make the bathroom feel less stressful. And most of all, approach the conversation with empathy instead of frustration. Sometimes, the simple act of helping a loved one feel comfortable enough to bathe is just as important as the bath itself. Because when a senior feels clean, they don't just look different, they feel different. Their mood shifts. Their confidence rises. They stand a little taller, and they see themselves with a little more pride. And while bathing has that powerful effect on mood, it can also reveal surprising truths about overall health, changes that go far beyond the bathroom itself. Picture this: an older gentleman who used to be neat and clean suddenly begins skipping his showers. At first, his family assumes he's just being careless. But the real reason? Lifting his arms to wash his hair had become too painful because of arthritis. What seemed like a small change in routine was actually a red flag. His body was starting to struggle with basic movement. This happens more than people realize. Avoiding baths isn't always about forgetfulness or stubbornness. Sometimes it's the first sign of arthritis, when joints ache too much to bend or reach. Sometimes it's weakness in the legs, making it hard to stand in the shower for even a few minutes. And sometimes, it's not physical at all, it's cognitive decline, where a senior simply forgets the steps of bathing or feels confused in an environment that used to be familiar. But here's where families often go wrong. They see skipped baths and jump to conclusions: they're just being lazy. That assumption not only hurts the senior emotionally, but it also delays important action. Because what looks like laziness might actually be the earliest signal that independence is slipping away. Bathing, something so basic and routine, often serves as a mirror of overall health. When it suddenly changes, it's a sign worth paying attention to. It could mean mobility is weakening, that strength is fading, or that memory is beginning to falter. These are the little warnings that, if caught early, can help families make adjustments before a crisis happens. So instead of judging, watch closely. If bathing habits suddenly shift, ask why. Is there pain? Is there fear? Is there confusion? These small details are often the first whispers that a senior needs more support, not less. And here's the part that ties it all together: there isn't one perfect answer for how often seniors should bathe. The truth is, the right frequency depends on the individual. Think about it. A senior with dry, fragile skin simply can't handle the same routine as someone who's still fairly active and sweats more often. Someone with limited mobility may need fewer showers but more daily spot cleaning. On the other hand, a senior managing certain health conditions, like incontinence or skin infections, may actually need more frequent washing to stay safe and comfortable. That's why a one-size-fits-all rule doesn't work. What's too much for one person might not be enough for another. And unfortunately, families often assume there is one right way, that every senior should bathe daily, or that cutting back automatically means neglect. But in reality, it's all about balance. Here's the advice I give every family: talk with your loved one's doctor or caregiver and find a rhythm that works for their health, their skin, their comfort, and their dignity. Maybe it's 3 full baths a week with gentle spot cleaning in between. Maybe it's more often for someone who's active, or less often for someone who's frail. The key is personalizing it, making bathing a supportive part of health, not a rigid rule. Because in the end, bathing isn't just about getting clean. It's about protecting skin, preventing infections, reducing fall risks, supporting emotional well-being, and maintaining independence for as long as possible. What we're talking about here is exactly how small daily routines snowball into much bigger problems if we don't take them seriously. A skipped bath isn't just about hygiene; it can turn into dry, fragile skin, a fall in the bathroom, or even an infection that sends someone to the hospital. And once that cycle begins, it's a quick road to losing independence. That's why I created something very special: the 29 Days to Reclaim Your Confidence Challenge. It's not complicated, and it doesn't require hours at the gym. In fact, it's designed specifically for older adults who want to stay strong, steady, and independent with just 10 minutes a day. Each day focuses on the areas that matter most: building up weak legs, improving balance so you don't live in fear of falling, boosting your energy so you can actually enjoy life, and yes, even tackling those embarrassing issues like bladder control that no one likes to talk about, but that steal confidence as we age. Here's the thing. Too many families wait until after the fall, after the broken bone, or after the hospital stay to finally take action. But by then, the recovery is harder, the risks are greater, and independence may already be slipping away. You don't have to wait for a crisis to get ahead of this. With this challenge, you'll have a clear, guided path to make small, daily improvements that actually stick. 10 minutes a day is nothing compared to the years of strength, stability, and dignity you gain in return. So if you or your loved one want to feel safer on your feet, stronger in your body, and more confident in daily life, don't put it off another day. Click the link in the description below and start your journey right now. Because independence isn't lost all at once, it slips away slowly, and this challenge helps you grab it back before it's too late. Watching a loved one struggle with something as personal as bathing can feel heartbreaking. It's not just about cleanliness. It touches dignity, independence, and even emotional well-being. For families, it can be painful to witness, and for seniors, it can feel frustrating or even embarrassing. But here's the truth: it's not about shame, and it's never about weakness. It's about dignity, safety, and quality of life. Instead of fearing these changes, I want you to see them in a new light. Bathing difficulties aren't a sign of defeat. They are signals, gentle warnings, that give you the chance to act early, to protect your loved one's health and to preserve their confidence. You now have the knowledge, the tools, and the perspective to step in with compassion, not criticism. To support, not to scold. To protect, not to pressure. Because here's what matters most: when you pay attention to these small changes, you're not just preventing dry skin, or avoiding slips in the bathroom. You're protecting independence. You're helping your loved one feel respected, cared for, and safe in their own home. And that makes all the difference. So if you've noticed any struggles, if a parent is skipping baths, if a spouse seems hesitant, if routines have quietly changed, don't ignore it. Don't wait until a fall, an infection, or a hospital visit forces the issue. A small adjustment in routine today could prevent a major health problem tomorrow. And here's the hopeful part: you don't have to face these challenges alone. There are simple, guided ways to rebuild strength, balance, and confidence at any age. That's exactly why I created the 29 Days to Reclaim Your Confidence Challenge. In less than 10 minutes a day, you or your loved one can work on the most important areas of aging: steady legs, better balance, stronger energy, and even regaining control over daily routines like bathing without fear. Every small win adds up. And after 29 days, those wins stack into a whole new level of confidence. The kind of confidence that lets you move through life without hesitation. The kind of confidence that helps you, or your loved one, feel like yourself again. Because in the end, this isn't just about bathing. It's about living with dignity. It's about reclaiming strength. And it's about holding on to independence for as long as possible. That's something worth fighting for. That's something worth starting today. To recap, we uncovered 7 surprising truths about bathing and elderly health. We discovered why daily bathing isn't always safe. We saw how overbathing can dry the skin and actually increase fall risks. We learned that body odor isn't always about hygiene, but sometimes a red flag for infection or hidden illness. We talked about the protective role of natural oils on senior skin. We explored the emotional impact of bathing, how it affects dignity and self-image. We revealed how changes in bathing habits can expose early signs of arthritis, weakness, or even cognitive decline. And finally, we understood why there is no one-size-fits-all rule. The right bathing frequency depends on personal health, mobility, and lifestyle. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these facts surprised you the most? Did you expect that bathing less might actually be healthier for some seniors? Do you believe seniors today bathe too often, or not enough? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective could help another family who is going through the very same struggle. And if this video opened your eyes, I invite you to join our community. Like and subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Guide for more insights, more real-life stories, and more practical solutions that can help you and your loved ones age with dignity, strength, and confidence. But please, don't just click away and forget what you learned today. Every week you wait is another week the body loses strength, balance, and energy. Every delay makes daily tasks harder and independence more fragile. That's why I created the 29 Days to Reclaim Your Confidence Challenge. It's simple, it's safe, and it's designed to help seniors regain the very abilities that slip away quietly at first: strong legs, steady balance, bladder control, and the energy to get through each day without fear or hesitation. The link is in the description. Take that step today. Because every small action you take now is one less struggle tomorrow. Every day you invest in yourself or your loved one is a day gained, a day of freedom, a day of dignity, and a day of confidence. Thank you for spending this time with me on Elderly Wisdom Guide. Stay safe, stay strong, and remember, the journey of healthy aging is not about perfection, but about progress. I'll see you in the next video.